Since the last devlog, I've pretty much just been creating all the different weapons for the game, which is what this devlog will be all about, as well as some other minor things I've been working on. I'll be trying to cover everything for my workflow from modelling to setting up the weapons in Unreal. Keep in mind this isn't exactly a tutorial, this is just my workflow for things, and I might get something wrong. Okay, the first thing to do is look for reference photos, because it's pretty difficult to model things just from memory. When I begin modelling weapons in Blender, I like to have all my references on a second monitor. And I also open one of the other weapons I modelled previously in Blender to get a reference for the proportions and scale. I found it easier to start modelling by placing some basic shapes and then to start adding details. Once the weapon was modelled, I make sure to apply the scale, rotation and location. I use automatic UV unwrap in Blender instead of doing it manually. I don't think it's really that necessary to manually unwrap unless you're trying to make something look realistic. Then I select what areas I want the materials to be applied to. Since you can customize the colours in Unreal Engine, I make sure the first two dots are for the primary and secondary materials, so that way it works with how the game was coded. I then use Auto Smooth and Mark Sharp to smooth out any edges and import it into Unreal. Once I've modelled all the weapons and imported them, it's easy to set them up because I made this data table. So all I have to do is select the mesh for the weapon, name it summit, its sound effect, what type of weapon, how much damage it does, and the level it's unlocked at. Then I added the data table ID to the customization menu. I had to manually add them one by one, but there isn't too many, so it doesn't take too long to do it. And you can now select whichever weapon you want to use and use it, although they still need balancing. There's 23 unique weapons in total, and I plan on making somewhere between 10 to 20 different headpieces, and the same for the legs. Here's some other stuff I've added to the game. I created a blueprint that will save which enemies have and haven't been defeated. I also decided to make it so that to fight any enemies that come after a boss, you have to defeat that boss first to unlock them. I polished all the UI as well. There are now icons that display whether an enemy has been defeated or not, which enemies are bosses, and whether they are locked or not, as well as which items and colours are locked as well. I also added an icon to show people that they can right click to go back, so navigating menus is quicker and easier. I also made a custom mouse cursor. The only bit of UI left to make is for the health bars, and the last thing is I think I'm going to be calling the game Fightbots. But still feel free to comment any better suggestions you might have.